So I'm sitting here with David Campiti, Chief Operating Officer of Red Giant. So
Hello.
David, talk to me about Red Giant.
Sure. Red Giant was actually begun about 2.5 years ago as an idea that Benny Powell and I had. Co-wrote a business plan together to get a company started that would be multimedia. Lots of TV, animation, movies, games, all sorts of related projects, as well as, of course, comic books.
Yeah.
And so we came into it with the idea that Benny from the business and advertising end, we have Eisen Robbins and Amy Schuf from the movie end. Together they produced 30 movies between the two of them. Chris Crosby, of course, from Keenspot.com, the wizard of all things online.
Yeah.
And I come from the background of publishing, editing, writing, and for the past 20 years I've been CEO of Glass House Graphics, which is an agency with over 120 artists worldwide. So that gave me a unique background to be able to bring a lot of wonderful creative to this new venture.
So tell me about Exposure. It's drawn by Jinky Coronado.
Yep, Exposure is a comic that Al Rio and I had created about 10 years ago. And we were doing it for Image Comics way back when. And we decided more recently to team up with Keenspot.com and bring back those original comics to a whole new audience. So we serialized it every day for the past year and a half, and reaction was so good that Keenspot asked us to create new stories. So Jinky Coronado, who had written and drawn the Bonsai Girl series, was tapped to draw this, and so I'm writing my first new Exposure stories in over a decade, and I think we're on our 6th new adventure now. And by the time we get through 8 of them, then those stories will be collected and published by Red Giant as a trade paperback and a hardcover next year.
That sounds awesome. The other work I was going to ask you about is Bonsai Girl.
Bonsai Girl is one that's both written and drawn by Jinky Coronado. Created some years ago when she actually was an Asian schoolgirl. So writing what you know, she did a storyline about herself as an Asian schoolgirl with her family and friends, facing off Filipino monsters of myth. So weird creatures like the aswang, the tikbalang, the manananggal, weird snake men that live beneath shopping malls, all sorts of oddball myth that Filipinos grew up with. She wanted to bring to an American audience. So she's doing that as Bonsai Girl. And that material is also being featured on Keenspot.com. And so she had originally written 2 5-issue miniseries, and both of those are being serialized on Keenspot. And next year both will then appear from Red Giant, collected into trades and hardcovers. And after Jinky finishes the next run of Exposure stories, she'll go back and write a new Bonsai Girl story to complete that next storyline.
The last thing I want to talk to you about is Jade Warriors.
Jade Warriors was co-created with Mike Deodato, a superstar artist from Marvel. And so this is a very rare non-Marvel project from him that was created by him and me and co-writer Mike Buckley some years ago for Image Comics. It appeared as 4 issues around the year 2000, but the story was never completed. So we have, once again, teaming with Keenspot.com, have brought back Jade Warriors, starting the serialization from the very beginning and taking it up through. We've just completed running all the material that had already appeared in print, and now we're into the new material that nobody had ever seen. So we're going to run through, complete the entire 6-issue story arc, so people could see every bit of the story and art that we had intended them to see years ago. And once again, that material will be collected by Red Giant as a trade paperback and a hardcover next year.
Awesome. So what's coming up next?
Next, we have the grand plan of free comics. Everybody loves Free Comic Book Day.
It's true.
How about a free comic book year?
Sounds great.
We have plans in the works for special distribution, not just necessarily through Diamond comic shops, but special distribution through certain specialty outlets where free with purchase, you get a free comic book. And it's going to be a giant-sized comic book, a 64-pager. Yeah, there'll be some ads in it. It helps pay the bills.
Yeah.
But there's going to be 2 stories in each comic. So we're going to have stuff with heroics. We're going to have stuff for the female audience. We're going to have stuff for little kids. We're even going to have a horror comic. There's going to be 1 comic each week coming out with 2 features. So we've talked about online what some of those features are going to be. Like the female based project is Pandora's Blogs. So for anybody who loves things on the CW, like the Vampire Diaries or the Secret Circle, that sort of thing, this would appeal to them.
Awesome.
And it'll be written and drawn by a female creative team. There'll be a second project, Dual Identity, which will also be for the female audience. We'll have, for the children's line, we're going to have a project called Sherwood, which is a funny, clever retelling of the Robin Hood myth with Maid Marian as the brains behind it all. But we're also going to have a project called Tesla, going back to Thomas Edison's biggest foe. Tesla was actually the good guy, and here he teams up with Mark Twain for some grand adventures.
Interesting.
So yeah, we're trying a number of different things, because comics don't need to be superheroes. You can be so many other genres, and we're
all sorts of things.
Yeah, we're going to be hitting so many other things over the course of time. So next year will be the era of this free comic line that Benny Powell refers to as the giant size line. And then as we get further into it, we'll be doing more comics for print that will both include collecting what appears in the giant size line as trades and hardcovers, and also developing some comics that will go through the traditional comic shop markets. Now, that's only part, of course, of what Red Giant is up to. I just finished production on Journey to Magica, an animated feature film. So I'm both producer and about 4 or 5 of the voices for the cartoon. That should be coming out next year, and that will spin off from the movie into one of the free comics for the Journey to Magica series.
That's great.
We also have Last Blood, which has been a Keen Spot project that is going into production later this year as a feature film, and another project that is both Keen Spot and Red Giant related is Benny Powell's Wayward Sons, which has been one of the Keen Spot great success stories with such a huge readership online. It's been collected into 4 volumes of material already by Red Giant, and it's already been optioned as a feature film by Lynn Pictures, which is the company that did those Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, fantastic. Everyone loves those. That's great.
So that's just the tip of the iceberg, and looks like it's going to be an interesting next few years for Red Giant.
Sounds fantastic. Well, from Comic-Con San Diego, this is David and Sinjun. Talk to you guys later.